Hey everybody, it's Christopher Holder with Real Life Ministry. I want to welcome you today to another episode of the SOAPBOX. And I've got a confession to make. This is actually not my first attempt at this recording about this particular topic, because it's a hard one. It's really a hard one, and I filmed it and I had it ready to post and went back through it and realized that it seemed a little harsh. That's not the intention of these. They may be hard, but I don't want them to be harsh. I want them to actually, at the end, be very encouraging. And so we're going to try this again, and I hope it comes across at least a little bit better than the last one that I recorded. So the question, and you're gonna see how hard this is right up front here. The question is, where was the church? Where was the church? And it's a question that's been coming up with me a lot lately. I've been finding myself asking it more and more as I go back and start to study history, which I didn't do very well. I wasn't very interested in when I was in school. And I am finding, I want to be completely fair, I'm finding that historical texts, textbooks, whatever I can find, resources on the internet, I'm not entirely sure that all the information is really out there, like I'm hoping for. So I get that, some things can come across as one-sided, but I'm just really struggling with this, okay? I just want to be real. And it's actually the struggle has been amplified fairly recently. And so let me just give you a couple of examples of where I'm going with this. So I'm studying Abraham Lincoln, and this is years, lots of years. How many years? I don't remember what year this is, but when Abraham Lincoln was trying to get the Constitution amended to permanently end slavery in this country, I'm reading about this time, and I'm like, man, he really got a lot of flack. He got a lot of pushback, and I know it wasn't just from one political party or the other. I mean, people within his own political party were really struggling with this in this country. And I know that in the time of slavery, between the time that this country was founded up until this point, there were Christians, there were believers in Christ that were really, really opposed and did what they could to combat slavery, to try to get it to be ended in this country. There was the Underground Railroad, and there were people fighting for it nonstop. I'm not saying that there weren't. But what strikes me is just odd is that the entire church doesn't seem, from what I've been able to discover, doesn't seem to have been united around this. I mean, how can, and please forget, I'm not trying to be condemning in any way here. I just simply don't understand how someone who is a follower of Jesus or claims to be a Christian, or anyone really for that matter, can not be just utterly disgusted by just the concept, not even just the actuality, but even just the idea of slavery. It's just so terrible, so wrong. And so when I see this, and I see people from the North and from the South, when I see people that were Democrats and Republicans that were against the efforts of Abraham Lincoln to completely end slavery once and for all with a constitutional amendment, a lot of those people claim to be Christians, and so it messes with me. Okay, it just messes with me. That's what these soapboxes are about. I'm just telling you, that messes with me. I don't get it. Now, I didn't live back then. I don't know all the context. I just know what I read, what I can find, and it just I just want to know, where was the church? Where was the church? The church was there. Some of the church, a large portion of the church, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. There were a lot of people that were opposed to slavery, but not everybody in this country who claimed to be a Christian stood united in that. And that bothers me. That really bothers me. Fast forward a number of years, and you come to World War II. Now, there was definitely a time after the bombing of Pearl Harbor when it seemed pretty much united, Christian and non-Christian in this country. Everybody was in support of the efforts to join in World War II and to defeat the Nazis. But prior to the bombing of Pearl Harbor, there was not this unified sense in this country that we needed to be rescuing the Jewish nation from this maniac who had decided to just literally annihilate them, wipe them from the face of the earth. That's what Hitler was all about. And though there were a ton of Christians, I'm not saying there weren't. There were Christians in Europe that were risking their own lives, just like with the Underground Railroad in the Civil War time and prior, that these people, they would hide Jewish people, Jewish families in their homes, in their closets, in their attics, under their floorboards. That happened. That was a very real thing. My question is, why wasn't the entire church out, I don't know, in the streets, standing on the front porch of the Capitol, not breaking into it? But why wasn't the whole church engaged? I don't see that they were, and I'm just like, people were being just tortured and murdered. It's just, it was so terrible. The stuff that I read about in World War II that was happening to those people. And so I get a little animated about this because I don't get it. And I didn't live back then. So again, I don't have firsthand experience with that stuff and what was really going on, but I just do not see a united church, a united people for Christ refusing to allow this to happen, refusing to allow the government, who was very hesitant to get involved in World War II. And I'm sure that's understandable. I mean, there was all sorts of, potential impacts of what that would look like. But prior to the bombing in Hawaii, we weren't united in that concern for those people, at least not enough to do something about it, it seems. And so then, getting like a little closer to home, one that, and I'll try not to get emotional here, guys, because I really want to make the point. I want to drive the point home that I'm trying to make in sharing these thoughts with you. In 1973, January of 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States of America decided that it was legal, that it was okay to murder unborn children. I was born late that same year. Praise God, I wasn't one of those first victims. My mother had me. I haven't asked her. I don't know why. I don't know why she chose to have me. I mean, she was young and she was going through a lot of stuff, and I'm sure she was scared and confused and everything, just like most women are who consider this. But I was spared, and I'm so grateful for that. But when I look at the timeline and the history and things, it seems like there was this, this big evil campaign, marketing campaign, that had an impact in the views of American society about this. But this is, as a follower of Jesus in a country that still, for the most part, claims to this day to be a nation founded on Judeo-Christian principles, I have to ask, where was the church when this was going down? And I get that it was ultimately up to the Supreme Court. And I know there were people, lots and lots of people. The March for Life, if I understand correctly, started the very next year. They've been going on this whole time, every year, making their voices heard. But my question again isn't about those brave men and women that were in the minority of the church that actually stood up and raised their voices and refused to be quiet about these things. I want to know, where was the church, the whole church, all of us, all of the peoples? Because it seems like it with our numbers, when it comes to, and I'm not talking about political issues, you can believe this way or that about so many things and have great debates and great conversations, peaceful conversations, and make this nation better and better and better through understanding. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about issues that we have to know affect the heart of God. That we as Christians should be able, regardless of our differences, to unite around, to come together on, and to have a unified voice and a unified presence and a apply unified pressure to making things right. And I get that you can't legislate morality. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not allowing these ungodly things in what we claim to be, or have been at least, a godly country. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And it freaks me out, and it messes with me. It messes with my mind. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you what this really boils down to. Just a few months ago, in November of 2020, in the state of Colorado, we had an election, and on the ballot was this issue of late-term abortion. In Colorado, we had the opportunity. Colorado is only one of like 6 or 7 states that allows late-term abortion. What that means is aborting a baby that has the potential to be able to survive outside the womb. That's how far along they are. And Colorado is only one of 6 or 7 states that allows that, and we had the opportunity to overturn that. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Where was the church? Where were all the Christians in the state of Colorado? Maybe we're outnumbered. I don't think that's true, though. And this is why this is so hard for me. This is why this is, it killed me when I saw it, because I was convinced, I was 100% certain that this late-term abortion thing was going to be overturned, and we were going to be taking a positive step in the right direction for a baby's right to live. And look, there was even provision for the safety of the mother if the mother was at risk, and it wasn't like just a blanket overturning kind of thing either. There was some caveats, I guess, in the wording. So I was completely convinced, 100%, that this was going to happen and this was going to be great. I saw signs. I didn't see any signs going the direction that it ultimately went, but I saw lots of signs going the right direction, God's direction, on this issue. And so when it didn't happen, I was just crushed. Abortion is something I'm very passionate about, very, very passionately against. I believe in human rights. I believe I'm pro-woman. And that just, okay, I'll move on. So where was the church? And you know what? What's really killing me about that is an even harder question. Where was I? I'm the church. You're the church. And I voted thinking I was doing my part. And clearly I was wrong. Clearly there were either Christians that didn't vote, or there are Christians that don't understand this, or maybe there are non-Christians. I know a good friend of mine that's atheist, that is pro-life. Maybe there are non-Christians that needed to be reached lovingly. And all I did was vote. I could have made this video then. Or other videos. I could have done something. I could have peacefully protested. I could have written or emailed somebody. I've never done that before. I don't even know who. Governors, congressmen, people, somebody. Excuse me. Somewhere that could have helped. I don't know, but exactly what I should have done, but I do know that I could have done more than just cast a vote. I honestly, I thought that was enough. And so I was wrong. And now I don't even know how long it's going to be before that even makes it back on the ballot again. And so what I want to encourage you guys, I so am not trying to beat up anyone with this. That's not my goal here. Not my goal at all. My goal, my hope is to encourage those of you watching this video that we have to do what the Lord calls us to do about things that are near and dear to his heart. We cannot put up with racism. We cannot put up with murder. We cannot put up with abuse of any kind. These things that are near and dear to the heart of God, his children, little children and older children like me, we have value. And he calls us to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Whether that's peaceful protesting, whether that's reaching out, whether that's making videos like this, whatever that looks like in a good, godly way, really want to stress that. We've had way too much of the ungodly response to things lately, and the riots, and the burning, and the murdering, and the just all the terrible things that have happened or that are continuing to happen in our country right now. Those aren't godly. That is not a godly way to respond to anything. But there is a godly way to do that. Jesus was not silent about important things. He didn't just cast a vote. And so I really, really want to encourage you guys. I want to, and I told you in my intro to these that I didn't plan on working from notes, but I wrote down, and I'm not trying to be cute with this. It's a quote from a Marvel movie, but it really hits home to this issue. This is from a line from Spider-Man, and he's being talked to by Iron Man, Tony Stark, and asking him why he's doing the things that he's doing to help people. And he says, "When you do the things that I can do and you don't, then when the bad things happen, they happen because of you." Isn't that true? We can do things, good things, positive things. We can be a part of the solutions and to the things that God wants to see. God's will is that none should perish, right? It says that in the Word. His will, his plans, his hope for our lives is good. He says to choose life. He tells us to love our neighbors. We've got to be part of the solution. We've got to stand up as one united church of God. And we got to start loving on people. We got to stop yelling at them. And I'm probably yelling at you now, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to be. I'm passionate about this. Guys, we're one body. One body. All of us are the church. We have to stand united. And I want to wrap this up because I know I'm going long here, but I just want to end this with encouraging you, as there are things that God pricks your heart with that are near and dear to him, things that are wrong in the world. be part of the solution. Stand up, call your buddies from church or your buddies from work or your buddies from the bar, if that's your thing, whatever, and unite. Unite as Americans, unite as Christians, and let's just make the world a better place.